guys, I have my HBX 16890A and I'm getting ready to do some more battery testing with this. Those of you that watched my speed run video will know this Ovonic 3S battery, and this truck went 33.8 miles an hour, so a pretty good showing, pretty quick. This is the stock battery, comes with the truck. It's rated 1000 milliamp hours, 2S. It's really only 880 milliamp hours, but this battery went 23.4 miles an hour. So a nice jump in speed from the 2S to this 3S. Now, obviously this 3S battery is really big, too big for this truck, and there's nowhere to mount it easily in the truck. So I just taped it onto the frame like that, and it worked well enough for speed runs. However, the problem is it significantly increases the center of gravity. All the weight, or a lot of the weight, is raised up when the battery's up there, so that the truck is more prone to tipping over. So not a great solution. And I had a strap around here and tape all over it. Check this short clip out. Okay, in pure ghetto fashion, that's how we do things here at RC Stuff. I have the 3S Ovonic 2200 milliamp hour battery mounted on top of the frame. Now, this thing probably weighs double what it does stock right now, which is not good. So yeah, not ideal. So I reached out to the folks over at Jen's Ace, Tattu. They make both types of batteries, and I got this 850 milliamp hour 3S battery, and I've thrown it on the charger, and I charged it from 3.7 volts per cell to a full charge, and right away I can tell it should be a good performer. It held a lot of capacity in that range, whereas cheaper batteries like this one or the original HBX battery do not. I'll go into way more detail on this later on when I do complete testing, but for today I'm just going to run this 3S Tattu battery in here, 850 milliamp hour 75C, and see if it comes close to the performance of this battery. Now, one thing to keep in mind is this Ovonic battery is big compared to this. And in a previous video I did, link in the video description, I ran a Traxxas Bandit with this battery and another Ovonic battery with the same specs, except it was a 5200 milliamp hour battery. And the larger battery was 4 miles an hour faster than this one. And the reason for that is, yes, voltage is what drives speed, so a 3S is faster than a 2S, but something that may be overlooked is the voltage sag. So while this battery is rated at 50C, most C ratings are just nonsense. And in theory, this battery can support 110 amps, which is more than enough for that Bandit, but in reality, it could not. So both these Ovonic batteries I ran in the Bandit were low performance. That being said, the larger capacity was significantly stronger. So everything else being equal, a larger battery is going to be faster. So this Tattu battery is really going to have its work cut out for it to even approach the speeds that this did. If this battery was similar in performance to this one, and taking into account the size difference, I'd expect it to be several miles an hour slower. But we'll see how it performs. It may well come close to the performance of this larger Ovonic battery and just have a shorter run time, because there's one thing it'll never match, and that is the total capacity of this battery. However, again, this does not fit well in the car. The 2S battery that came with the truck obviously is going to fit in here really well. This 3S Tattu battery, I looked at the measurements and I knew it'd be really close. It does not quite fit all the way in the battery slot like this. So what I did is I took my Dremel tool and I just ground out a really small spot here in the battery box. And now the battery fits really well if you mount it in backwards or upside down. And then the wires can go right there. And then there's no issue connecting the battery to the ESC. It's perfect, excellent fit, and that's what I wanted. This battery, the center of gravity is nice and low. and it's not going to really affect the performance compared to this battery. The original stock battery weighs about 50 grams. This battery is about 72 grams. So it is heavier, but not a huge difference. The truck is still balanced. This battery is about 170 grams. So this added a lot of weight to the truck, and enough so that even the suspension was compressed more when running this battery. So it was fun for speed runs, but not great for everyday running. So I think that's plenty of background, and we'll go ahead and run this new Tattu 3S battery and see what kind of speeds we get. All right, I have the GPS cleared out and we're ready to give it a run. And we actually got an increase in speed over the much larger Ovonic 2200 milliamp hour battery. Quite impressive. Still didn't quite break that 35-mile-an-hour speed limit, but not too far off. Very impressive. Well, there we go. The Tattu 3S 850 milliamp hour 75C LIPO is a ripper. That thing added exactly 1 mile an hour onto the top speed, which is quite impressive because the speeds are only in the 30s. On my Traxxas Bandit, it's up in the 70s, so you know, 1 mile an hour is not that big of a deal for that car, but on this, that's, you know, substantial. I'm gonna do more testing on this later on and compare them after running the truck about 5 or 10 minutes. At some point, that larger Ovonic battery will be faster, but on the top end, probably the first 500 milliamp hours or so of use, this one looks like it's going to be quicker. So more to come on that, but I definitely recommend this Tattu battery for this truck with a small modification. It fit right in the battery compartment, and it's priced right. It's available on Amazon. It was a little over $15, and yeah, this is excellent. Fits right in there. It actually closes better than it did on the stock 2S battery. The strap was a little too long for that battery. I'm gonna go ahead and run it a little bit more so I don't have to discharge the battery. Handling's much better without all that extra weight on top of the truck. Very punchy. I wish this truck did have a punch setting for it so I could turn it down. Actually, it's a little aggressive with the acceleration. Have to ease into it a bit. But yeah, she's running good. All right, on the way home from running this truck, I had a few thoughts I wanted to share. And one is, I have a dedicated GPS coming. It's actually here, but it's a Christmas present. So I will run this truck in the future with a dedicated GPS, which will be lighter and obviously a lot smaller. I really don't think it's gonna have an impact, a significant impact on the top speed. And I'll end up comparing this to the dedicated GPS. But that's coming for future videos. This phone is a lot of weight for this truck, and it'll be nicer to have a dedicated GPS when running this. The other thing I was just thinking about is, while the Ovonic battery will last longer because it's obviously a much higher capacity battery, it holds 2200 milliamp hours, whereas this is around 850. And That might be problematic though. This motor does tend to get pretty hot at 3S. It's pretty cool outside today and I had no issues with overheating or anything, but on a hot day, I don't think I'd want to run this thing as long as a 2200 milliamp hour battery would run. It might be kind of hard on it. So it's kind of another advantage of this beyond it, you know, obviously fitting in the truck properly. And the last thing I want to touch on, which I did in the beginning of the video, is this comes with an XT30 connector. So I just want to make it clear to everyone, if you want to get this battery, you need to be able to solder on a new connector or know somebody that can do it for you. Not a big deal at all, real common in the hobby, but Tattu just wanted me to make that really clear because sometimes they get folks that I suppose buy batteries and they're not prepared to solder things and they get frustrated. So just want to drive that point home. More content coming in the future on this HBX 16890, and I'm going to do a complete review in the near future, so look for that one. Thanks a lot and take care, guys.